Sup you beautiful people. Hope you've had a fantastic day. Welcome back to another new episode of What If Naruto was the conqueror of the Shinobi world. If you guys enjoy this what if, comment down below and let me know. And go ahead and check out other what ifs in the channel after watching this video. Don't forget to subscribe and leave a like, and also share this video with your friends. So now let's start this video. Naruto, the blonde, had noticed the Kumo shinobi lurking around the Hyuga clan during the day. Naruto kept his eyes on the Kumo shinobi. He was only a kid, but even he knew Konoha and Kuno didn't have the best of friendships. The night came, and Naruto felt the shinobi within the Hyuga clan. Unknown to Naruto, the symbol of the moon on his left palm started shining in a dark color. Naruto followed behind and stood just outside the clan compound, his face shadowed by the shadow of the houses, but his purple eyes shined through the darkness. Naruto saw the kidnapper carrying a bag over his shoulder, and the Uchiha could feel the small child in the bag. His blood boiled at the man daring to kidnap a little girl, and use her for their own needs, and use her like a cow. Naruto released his Kai, and his left hand raised slowly at the ninja, who had frozen in place from his superior Kai. Bancho Tenin Naruto spoke with a dark tone. The shinobi suddenly started getting pushed towards him. As he got closer, Naruto raised his right hand. A dark rod came out of his palm, but no blood, and Naruto pierced his stomach, causing the shinobi to feel the full chakra of the kid. Ahhh, the shinobi screamed in pure agony as he gripped his head with his palms, almost trying to pull something out of his head. Naruto's face didn't even twitch from his agony, his face as cold as ice. His eyes went to the child inside the bag. His eyes turned to the shinobi moving in the grass like an injured animal, his hands trying to take out the rod. Because of that, Naruto put his hand on the rod, and with a single move, he pulled out the rod, causing the blood around his wound spill out faster. His blood started spreading around the grass like rain. His purple eyes suddenly turned to blue again, and the moon on his left palm stopped shining. Naruto felt dizzy all of a sudden. His young body fell on his knees, his hands on the grass. Naruto tried to catch his breath. He wasn't sure what exactly happened when his senses felt the chakra coming closer. His eyes glanced at the bag moving, and he slowly stood up, his chest rising up and down repeatedly. He still tried to catch his breath. He walked over to the bag and opened it, seeing hair sticking out, her white eyes looking up at Naruto. The blonde was about to ask if she was okay when his senses went wild. He jumped high in the air, barely dodging a dangerous strike from a man. Landing on the ground, his eyes found the man who attacked. His Byakugan activated, his palms up and ready to strike again. "Stay away from my daughter, demon," the man screamed with anger through his clenched teeth. Before Naruto could say anything, "Brother, stop, look in the ground." Naruto turned his head to see another person walking over to them, followed by several guards who glared at Naruto at the moment notice. The blonde saw the new guy was very similar to the one who attacked him. He looked down to see the man lying on the ground motionless. His eyes widened that someone tried to kidnap his daughter, and he perhaps almost killed her savior. "Tusan, he saved me." The voice of Hinata was heard like a whimper, her eyes looking up at her father. Naruto decided to leave and let them deal with their situation when at that moment, the glorious Hokage showed up at the compound. Son of a bitch, Naruto cursed his luck. The Hokage couldn't choose any other time to show up, but now. Hiruzen saw Naruto standing there, avoiding his direction, but the Hokage's eyes found Hyuga. He kneeled and slowly pulled away the mask covering the man lying on the grass. Almost everyone gasped to see it was the Kumo ambassador. "Hiashi, how did this happen?" Hiruzen demanded an explanation. Unknown to him, both Itachi and Kakashi, who were wearing Anbu masks, looked at Naruto with concern. Hiashi went on and explained that a scream was heard in the middle of the night. He first checked Hinata's room to see her missing. He then told them that he found the blonde opening the bag, and that the shinobi was dead in the ground. Hiruzen exhaled at the thought that Kumo had betrayed them, and had tried to kidnap a child of Konoha. But what stuck to him even more was Naruto's involvement in all of this. He knew Itachi trained Naruto, but he shouldn't be able to kill a jonin. Itachi paid close attention to the Hokage's reaction towards Naruto. While Kakashi was surprised and saddened that Naruto was forced to kill someone at such a young age, but otherwise happy that Naruto could protect himself and a member of Konoha. Everyone's eyes turned to Naruto when Hiashi explained what had happened. "Naruto, I would like you to come with me," Hokage stated with no place to decline. The blonde just followed behind. "Hiashi, you as well," Sarutobi ordered. The Hyuga nodded his head. Hinata was escorted inside, soon rejoined with her mother. Hokage Tower. The Hokage sat at his seat as every clan head was here. In this meeting, he didn't invite the civil council since they weren't necessary. Almost every head clan was surprised by the sudden meeting of the council in the middle of the night. It was 3 a.m. But all of them were double surprised to see Naruto standing in the room, his hands behind his neck not carrying much. Itachi, Kakashi, Yamato and Yuga stood hidden in the shadow, their eyes looking at the blonde. 3 of them surprised to see a lack of reaction from Naruto after killing someone. Kakashi made a mental note to ask later Naruto about it. Maybe the blonde was even more shocked than they thought, and he was hiding it behind an emotionless mask. On the other hand, Itachi looked wary of the whole situation. He hoped they wouldn't try to punish Naruto. He was his little brother, and he would protect him. Danzo looked at the demon weapon with a suspicious eye. He wondered what was happening. He hated that right now he had no information on the situation. Perhaps Sarutobi had finally decided to hand him the weapon. Hokage looked surprised to see the little blonde here, and he could say that they were lucky that Mikoto didn't know about this yet. Sarutobi cleared his throat. I know it is very late, but a betrayal has happened, causing everyone to hold breath. The ambassador of Kumo this night went inside and tried to kidnap Hinata Hyuga. Luckily Naruto was able to stop him and save the Hyuga heirs. This caused anger to fill everyone except Danzo, who looked interested to know how could a 6-year-old child stop a jonin. Everyone had different thoughts on this. Shikaku felt a headache slowly driving him mad. This is troublesome, he thought and cleared his throat. Lord Hokage, I think we should let know Kumo what their shinobi tried to do. We don't know yet if he acted out of selfish reasons, or if someone ordered him, Shikaku stated, knowing full well the chances of the latter were much higher. Hiruzen nodded his head and called dog. Within a second, Kakashi stood kneeling in front of the Hokage, close to where Naruto was standing. Send this scroll to Jiraiya. I'm afraid he should cut his research short, Hokage stated and threw a scroll at Kakashi, who grabbed it and disappeared as soon as it appeared. Naruto's ears perked up at the mention of the Sannin, and wondered if he would decide to visit him. And maybe perhaps try to make up for his complete absence in Naruto's life. Now that Kakashi had left, Sarutobi knew Kakashi's dogs would find him in no time, and know the situation's seriousness, and he would come to back up the village. With that thought done, now the only thing left was Naruto. Turning his eyes at the blonde, he cleared his throat, getting everyone's attention. Naruto, I would like to know how you were able to defeat the Jonin. Sarutobi asked warmly, and he knew right now that he wasn't on the best of terms with Naruto, but he hoped to make up for it somehow soon. During the day, I noticed the shinobi lurking around the Hyuga compound. When night came, I waited for a few blocks away to see if he would try anything. When he suddenly jumped over from the wall, right in front of me. At first, he told me to leave and forget I saw anything, but I stood my ground, and since I'm a child, he underestimated me. I used Shunsen to show up in front of him. He was caught off guard by my speed, and I stabbed him in the liver, Naruto explained. Hiruzen was impressed that he used the shinobi's ego against him, while Shikaku thought Naruto could be an impressive strategist, if only he could spend some time with him. Hyugaku smiled warmly at the kid for saving the girl, while the Uchiha clan and Hyuga clan didn't exactly see eye to eye. Even Hyugaku would never wish that kind of fate to any of the Hyuga residents. Hiashi made a mental note to thank Naruto later, and to apologize for attacking him. While Danzo thought that the demon right now had even more value than before, he needed to speed up his plan a bit. Can I leave now? Naruto asked indifferently. Hiruzen thankfully nodded his head, and Itachi escorted him outside. Leaving the Hokage tower, Itachi immediately turned to Naruto and put his hand on his shoulder. You sure you're alright? Itachi asked, concerned, and his eyes were checking for any wound. Naruto smiled happily to have a big brother like Itachi, and he nodded his head. I'm fine, Nai-san, but thanks for asking. Itachi accepted the answer and led him to his house. Naruto was lying on his bed, already asleep. Itachi checked around the house for anything, and his eyes turned at Naruto again, who was peacefully sleeping. What would you do in my situation, Naruto? Itachi whispered with evident sorrow in his tone. Tomorrow, Kumo. The following day, a shout was heard inside the Raikage tower. The table in the room was thrown across the room, getting destroyed when it hit the wall. While this was happening, a certain Jinchuriki stood silent, waiting to hear what was the problem now. Big bro, what has good you? So angry B asked while rapping and moving his hands around, and doing weird poses in front of his brother. The Raikage glared at his little brother for taking this as some kind of joke. A had been against the plan, but couldn't help but agree that Kumo needed a bloodline. Our shinobi was killed trying to kidnap the girl, A stated with evident anger, but not towards the act, but towards his own shinobi for getting caught. He stopped rapping, and a visible frown erupted on his face. He told his brother not to try it, but he just couldn't help himself, stating that Kumo barely had any bloodline. He hated how the hidden villages still acted towards each other. Why couldn't they just let go of these petty things and live? He hated that with this done, he wondered what the difference between Kumo and the likes of Orochimaru was. Just the thought of his country being no different made him want to vomit. So, what now? Are they declaring war against us? He asked, knowing there was a high chance of them declaring war for trying to kidnap a member of their village, not mentioning a child. War had been started in the past for far less. No, they had sent me a letter to explain why a shinobi tried to kidnap a member of their village. Therefore I will go there. Perhaps we still haven't lost yet, A replied, looking outside the window and thinking of a plan. He frowned dependent. He chewed his lower lip and held his tongue. He wanted to remind his brother not to poke a sleeping tiger. He thought perhaps reminding him that they had Kyuubi might work. Still, they knew Kyuubi was sealed in a child, and therefore the chances of him being able to use Kyuubi were slim. Should I tag along? He asked, knowing his brother would like to bring his strongest shinobi to show strength. They nodded his head immediately, still looking through the window. Dari is coming along as well, he replied, and thought bringing Yujito might or might not be a good idea. She was still only 8 years old, but quite good for a young kunoichi. He thought to leave when his brother turned to look at him. Be prepared for anything. Itachi, where's Naruto-kun? He could be scared alone, his mother shouted at him. To say Mikoto Uchiha was angry would be like saying that Orochimaru is a good guy. Itachi had come home with his father and explained to his mother what had happened. When she heard that the Hokage sent Naruto into his home alone after killing a foreign shinobi, she got furious. What is that old man even thinking? Naruto-kun needs someone to tell him that what he did was not wrong and not feel alone, Mikoto half shouted at both him and his father. Miko-chan, you know we can't have Naruto sleeping in this house. Our reputation with the Hokage is already falling down the hill, and him getting suspicious that we are using something on Naruto when he isn't looking can worsen our situation, Fugaku explained, knowing full well how his wife was whenever Naruto was mentioned. Mikoto bit her lower lip, tears developing in her eyes. She could feel the disappointing look of Kushina-chan. She should have raised her son. Screw the Hokage. Naruto needed someone not to be alone. Did the Hokage not understand how much trauma that could bring, or he simply didn't care? Ka-chan, tomorrow after my workday is over, I will bring Naruto here again if he wishes, Itachi suggested. Mikoto looked at Itachi and nodded in agreement. Konoha Naruto. He stood motionless, just staring at the ceiling. As he stood on his bed, he thought of the Anbu that visited him this morning. Naruto recognized his chakra. He knew that Anbu had watched over him many times. Naruto opened his eyes at the sound of the bird singing near his window. His head slowly raised and sat on a sitting position in the middle of the bed. His blue eyes watched the birds playing around with each other. He saw another flying to a branch in a tree. There was a small hole in the tree, and 3 tiny beaks coming out and demanding food. Naruto smiled at the mother giving her children food through the peak. His eyes then turned to his empty apartment, and his heart fell into the darkest abyss. Good morning, Naruto, Kurama suddenly said, smiling at the little blonde. Naruto's face brightened up like the sun, his smile from ear to ear. Good morning, Kurama, he said and jumped from the bed to the wooden floor. Naruto's eyes went to the moon symbol on his palm, and he couldn't help but think of last night. Kurama, did you feel anything different last night? Naruto asked, thinking that his friend might know anything. Feel what? I didn't feel anything unusual, not knowing where the blonde was going with this. Last night I saved the girl, but I don't remember much. It almost feels like a clouded memory. It feels almost like I wasn't the one who did that, Naruto replied, still looking at the moon symbol on his palm. Now that Naruto mentioned, Kurama did find it odd the lack of reaction from Naruto. At the same time, he knew his little friend had killed people before intentionally and unintentionally. Still, his complete lack of response, almost as killing people, had been something he had done for years now, and didn't scare him anymore. I don't know Naruto, but perhaps you should ask Indra. After all, the Uchiha did say you can have his advice whenever you want. Kurama advised and hated that he couldn't help him in this situation. Naruto mentally nodded and started preparing breakfast, boiled eggs with bread and onions. Both Itachi Nai-san and Mikoto-chan told him to eat vegetables and fruits. After preparing it, he started eating the boiled egg with bread. After he was done, he took a bite from onion, and had to admit it wasn't as bad as he thought. Knock knock. Naruto stopped eating and walked over to the door. Opening it, he saw the Anbu with dog mask that he saw last night. The blonde wondered what he wanted so early, or maybe the Hokage had requested his presence. Can I come in? The Anbu asked respectfully. Naruto opened the door wider and stepped aside as the Anbu walked inside. Closing the door, he turned to the Anbu. What can I do for you, Anbu-san? Naruto asked, still thinking he was here because the Hokage sent him. I wanted to check if you were okay. You killed someone last night. Many people find it hard to deal with the first time, Kakashi replied, knowing his first time was when he was only 5 years old. Naruto was only 6, not that age made that much of a difference. No matter how old you are, the first time killing someone will always be hard. Naruto found his concern surprising. It's not the first time I killed someone before. People of this village sometimes tend to get drunk, and sometimes they leave you no choice, Naruto replied, knowing the Anbu Rudy killed and the mob that had gathered to give him a birthday surprise. Kakashi's eyes widened at what he heard. He never thought that anyone actually attacked Naruto. He wondered if Hokage knew of it, and if he did, why did he not tell him? When did that happen? Anbu asked with a much more serious tone. Naruto explained what happened on his birthday, except he told him that only a few people had gathered at his house that night. Kakashi remembered that he had been on a mission during the celebration for the defeat of the Kyuubi, which Kakashi couldn't help but find odd. Usually, that day was free of work. I see, if you need to talk with anyone, you can talk to me, Kakashi stated. Naruto nodded his head, and the Anbu left. Naruto stood up and left the apartment, and he needed to train and get stronger to protect his Uchiha family. Reaching the training yard, he did the shadow clone jutsu, and 1000 clones suddenly appeared. Alright, 100 start reading, 700 start training on elemental manipulation, and the other 200 will beat me up. Soon the clones left to do their jobs. Naruto's eyes stayed blue as he prepared for training. After 5 hours, once the training ground stood, now filled with craters everywhere, Naruto was lying on the biggest crater, his body spread, sweat rolling down his face, his shirt was wet with sweat, and his back ached badly. In the following hours Naruto trained, using taijutsu and ninja weapons, like kunai, shuriken and swords, but not once did he use the Sharingan. He wanted to train without Sharingan. He used it only against Itachi or Shusei, or if he had no other choice against someone else. As he kept breathing, a thought occurred to Naruto. He slowly put his hands on the ground and stood up, still breathing heavily. Kurama, Indra said I could talk with him and Ashura, but can I also talk with Hashirama and Madara? Naruto mentally asked, thinking of what Indra said to him. Kurama thought of it, and if he was sincere, he wasn't entirely sure. Indra mentioned that when Naruto became their reincarnation, a bit of their chakra was sealed inside Naruto, but he mentioned nothing of Hashirama and Madara's chakra. It's worth a try, but don't get your hopes up, Kurama stated. I have never my hopes up anymore, Naruto replied and sat with his legs crossed and closed his eyes. For a few minutes, nothing happened when he suddenly felt the air itself change. It felt calmer, and he felt sleepy. Opening his blue eyes, he was back in the forest of his mindscape. But surprisingly, the ground everywhere was covered by red leaves. Naruto heard footsteps coming towards him, and slowly ahead of the trees came out a person with white kimono covering his whole body. Naruto knew he had never seen him before but knew his name, and he knew him somehow. Ashura. Naruto. Ashura stood in front of him, his eyes looking at him warmly, a splendid smile on his face. Ashura kneeled in front of Naruto. What can I do for you, young Senju? Ashura asked kindly. Ashura, I wanted to ask what is your advice on what to do with how hidden villages are with each other. Hashirama told me that he and Madara united the clans and created Hidden Leaf Village, but there's no peace. This is just a temporary peace, a war hidden in the shadows waiting to explode. What should I do? Naruto asked, feeling anger. The shinobi had been ordered by the Raikage to kidnap a Hyuga, if he could be a Hyuga child. Naruto knew this, but he wasn't sure how. The whole memory of him saving Hinata was almost clouded, but not the memories of the dead Jonin, and Naruto wasn't sure why. The blonde had thought to tell the Hokage, but right now, he wasn't sure if the old man was trustworthy anymore. Telling him about the memories of the dead Jonin would force him to ask how he knew. Therefore Naruto had thought that saying nothing would be better, rather than just opening new problems. I'm not sure, young Uzumaki. My father told me to spread the knowledge of chakra. I followed my father's footsteps, sure that was the way towards peace. The conflicts between each other started soon after the birth of my third child. My children took responsibility for my actions. People did not come together when the knowledge of chakra was spread. Wars didn't end. They stayed the same. Ashura said with a heavy heart. He could remember when he was first forced to execute a member of their group. He had been caught using chakra to kill people for fun. He had been caught red-handed in his basement, body parts everywhere hanging around the wall. In his personal room, he had found him there smiling eagerly. Jars filled with blood in the table behind him, bodies of men, women and children hanging around the walls like decorations, their guts hanging from their sliced open stomachs. A corpse hanging behind him had 4 arms attached around his back. Psycho Hime had started laughing in front of him, saying that he would find every little secret that chakra was hiding from him. The experiments were needed to find just how strong can a person get. Ashura had killed him on the spot. The bodies were buried, but the body of Psycho was thrown into the wilderness and let him rot, without a place where people could remember him. The second time had been after many years in Jai town. His children had discovered people forcing the town to give them money in return for healing them, but the worst part was they were the ones causing the sickness. I don't have any easy answers, young Senju. Even my father didn't know how to bring peace. My grandmother tried to enslave the whole world, and my father believed spreading the chakra would bring people together. My advice to you, young Senju, is to unite the people of this world, under one symbol, under one village. Like how Hashirama and Madara created the Hidden Leaf Village, I believe you can create a new one that belongs to everyone, Ashura advised. Naruto said nothing as the figure of Ashura started disappearing until it was gone. The young blonde found himself in the apartment again, his hands rubbing his back. Naruto understood what he meant, at least he hoped he did. His thoughts were on his Uchiha family. Would it be safer for them? What would they think? Naruto looked down at his palms, at the moon and sun symbol. Why did he have so much responsibility? It wasn't enough that he was an orphan, but the people of his home hated his guts. Kurama, what do you think is the difference between right and wrong? Is there any difference, or is the line between right and wrong just as an illusion we create for ourselves? Naruto asked quietly, as his eyes kept looking at his palms. Kurama stayed quiet for some time. He wasn't sure of the answer. I'm not sure, Naruto. In my life, those people that tried to capture me and use my chakra for their own gain were wrong. But what if those people were desperate people that needed to protect their loved ones? At that point in life, the line between right and wrong slowly gets thinner when it comes to helping the ones we love, because without them, we are nothing, Kurama said. Naruto listened to his words, and his mind went back to his Nai-san. His mind remembered Shusei, Mikoto-chan, and Kurama, his best friend. Naruto said nothing as his body lied on the floor, his hands together in front of his face, his head feeling the carpet below his head, a red carpet. What is the cost of peace? After 1 week, the following week, Naruto kept practicing. His clones had him surrendered. They had formed a circle around him. Itachi and Shisui were looking closely at Naruto since he told them he wanted to show something to them. Each clone grabbed a kunai from their pouches and immediately threw them at Naruto. The blonde activated his Sharingan and saw the kunai moving slower and slower. He grabbed a single kunai and threw at one closest to him, causing it to change the direction that hit another kunai and another one. Itachi and Shisui gasped that every single kunai had fallen in the ground and hadn't reached Naruto. A proud smile erupted on both of their faces, seeing him, but next thing surprised them and put them on guard immediately. Each clone suddenly showed right in front of Naruto. Each one had Sharingans on their eyes. Shisui was about to intervene when Naruto threw himself up in the air doing hand signs. Fire style. Dragon form jutsu. Hugs dragon came out of his mouth and obliterated every clone in the ground. Itachi and Shisui jumped away from the unbearable heat coming from the red flames that burned down the whole grass in the entire training field. Itachi noticed that leaves around the trees had turned dark from the heat. He hadn't known about the existence of red fire. He had known of Amaterasu, the dark flames that never extinguished. The Uchiha duo moved over to Naruto, who was lying in the middle of the field breathing heavily. The whole field had turned dark and smoke around the ground, his chest rising up and down like that would be his last breath, and he was trying to breathe as much as possible. That was awesome, Naruto. You sure have many secrets, Shisui stated, helping him up and slapping his back. That was indeed incredible, Naruto-kun. Didn't know there was red fire, Itachi commented, as his eyes noticed that the moon symbol on Naruto's palm looked slightly darker, or maybe that was just him. I didn't know about crimson red flames myself, though indeed does look awesome, and they are way stronger than normal flames, Naruto replied. Itachi had already figured out the last part, and wondered that if he should teach him his explosive clone jutsu and fire style. Starfire. Itachi decided to teach him that as a birthday gift for his 7th birthday. It had been a week since Hinata Hyuga had been saved from Naruto. The word had spread like wildfire. The clans were happy to hear that Naruto had saved Hyuga's heirs, but the civil part was more skeptical. Some stayed neutral, while some would say that the demon was getting strong or some dumb shit like that. Itachi had invited Naruto to his house 6 days ago to eat dinner with them, but Naruto had respectfully declined his offer. Itachi of course knew about how his last visit ended. He still remembered his little brother calling Naruto parentless. The Uchiha prodigy hasn't told anyone, but he was half convinced to tell his Ka-chan. She would know what to say to Sasuke. Hello, Itachi, you there? Itachi escaped his thoughts when he saw Shisui knocking on his forehead, almost like he was knocking on a door and waiting to open it. What? Itachi asked, not knowing what the problem was. Raikage will come today. Hokage told me 2 days ago to be prepared if my help is needed. Only now has Itachi noticed that Naruto wasn't here anymore. His eyes roamed around the field, but couldn't see him anywhere. Naruto went to his house. He said he wanted to deal with something. Shisui informed him, and they soon both left towards the Uchiha compound. Apartment. Naruto was sitting in a cross position, a blank letter in front of him lying on a table, a brush and black paint. The clones had started reading Fuinjutsu, but Naruto soon realized that reading Fuinjutsu would almost be pointless without practicing it. Therefore Naruto took it upon himself to train his Fuinjutsu. If a seal could hold the likes of Kurama inside his tummy, his mind wondered what could he do by advancing it even more. As he was writing a level I seal, his senses detected a huge chakra level suddenly showing up in the village. Hiashi Hyuga, oh? He heard his daughter squeak when he entered the room. Hinata, Hiashi smiled. Though it was technically not proper behavior, he could understand the child's tears. She did go through quite an ordeal. Are you alright, Hinata? The girl nodded and quickly tried to wipe away her tears, knowing her father disapproved of such lack of composure. Not that she had much success, as new tears appeared just as fast. Naruto-kun saved us. But Naruto-kun is fine, a female voice spoke from behind Hiashi. Not that he was very surprised, as his wife at times seemed to be aware of everything. Hiashi knew very well that if he was to be regarded as the best Chukin practitioner of the clan, Hyuga Hitomi would be the one with the best eyesight. Hitomi? Hiashi, the woman smiled. Hinata is uninjured, despite the kidnapper's crude methods. Okay, can I? Hinata looked up to her mother. Can I see him? Where is he? He is in his home, she said gently. Hinata's face turned down, her disappointment obvious to her parents. But the clan owes Naruto-kun if he had not stopped the kidnapper, Hitomi added. Can we help him? Hinata begged. Hiashi looked at his wife, who was busy correcting a deviant strand of her daughter's dark blue hair. His wife took a strange pride in that their eldest daughter had the same color of hair as she had. We will. And should, Hitomi assured her daughter, looking up at her husband's frown. If it wasn't for Naruto, we wouldn't have our daughter here. It's only appropriate we reward him, perhaps giving him shelter. Naruto can stay with us, Hinata said hopefully. Hiashi nodded. That would be proper. For now. I will ask Hokage-sama for formal approval. He emphasized on the last word, making clear to his wife that the case of Uzumaki Naruto was a special one. Not that he needed to tell her. Hitomi often paid more attention to affairs outside of the clan than he did. She knew very well who and what Uzumaki Naruto was. Hokage Tower, Hokage-sama. Hiashi the Hokage answered with a tired voice. Meeting the elders of the council had been a very bothersome half-hour. Any developments regarding the kidnapper? Did Kumagakure respond? The Hokage sighed. We can't tell, but Shukaku suspects he was sent here with a mission to kidnap a suitable female Hyuga, so that Kumo could gain access to the Byakugan. Hiruzen saw Hiashi's eyes narrow, as he considered the implication of what was said. No father would like to hear his daughter was targeted for the children she could bear. It wasn't like Hiruzen wasn't angered by this, but he lived too long to know that he couldn't make decisions based on emotions. But he was not in control of the Hyuga clan. And if the Hyuga would demand retribution, with the substantial influence they had within the village, this demand could lead to war. It all boils down to what Hiashi decided. Fortunately, things did not turn out that way, Hiruzen added with his weary voice. Now that the peace treaty is formalized, and we have quickly spread that piece of news across the borders, Kumo knows that their position is unfavorable. They cannot make any demands without revealing that they breached the treaty themselves first. Kumo will not be able to try something like this again, not without damaging the diplomatic position it has with other nations as well. If this got out, no one would trust them again. I believe Kumagakure would choose an uneasy peace over an international scandal which could potentially lead to a war between them and a coalition of hidden villages. Hiashi nodded. Though alliances and treaties were not respected as much as many would like, there was a consensus between the nations that those who broke a treaty within the same year should be considered honorless, and could therefore be attacked by any nation without consequences to international relations. Even though the military prowess of Kumagakure was great, perhaps even being the strongest nation in the world, it would not withstand a combined attack from the other nations. Hokage-sama, the Hyuga will not officially blame Kumo, neither for the attempt to kidnap my daughter, nor the damage they have caused at our estate. We were fortunate that there were no grave injuries, and that Hinata is safe. Hiashi took a short breath before he made his request, knowing the sensitivity of the subject for Sarutobi Hiruzen, who was rumored to have an attachment to the boy. And even beyond that attachment, the village's Jinchuriki was deemed to be a creature outside of the control of a single clan. Else, the Sarutobi would have adopted him the day he was orphaned. But the potential power which a Jinchuriki represented was a thing that every clan coveted, and as such, would not allow another clan to have. But if the voices of the most powerful clan, the Hyuga, and the most powerful person, the Hokage, aligned even if it was done to repay a debt, Hiashi was shrewd enough to ensure that his clan would benefit. Hokage Dono, though I will not blame anyone, I would like to acknowledge the debt our clan owes. Your debt? Sarutobi answered wonderingly. Without Uzumaki Naruto, my daughter and heir would be on her way to Kumo. I would like to repay him, at least by sheltering him for a while. Hiruzen's eyes went wide with surprise at the request and dropped back into his chair. For a few moments, he stayed silent, considering the possibilities. Hiashi, you know very well that this child cannot be attached to any clan. Hiashi was about to speak again when Hiruzen raised his hand. I have already received multiple requests from Shukaku, Mikoto Uchiha, Fugaku Uchiha, and Oichi Yamanaka. In Yuzuka clan, I would like to adopt Naruto, but can't. I'm afraid if you like to do something for him, you can perhaps help him in other ways, Hiruzen stated with a painful heart. Hiashi said nothing, his facial expression didn't change not even in the slightest, but inside he couldn't help but feel that his daughter would be disappointed. Hiruzen, he stood close to his desk smoking his pipe, his mind on what Hiashi offered. Did I do something wrong? What about the other clans? Hiruzen asked himself, feeling a headache coming. He hoped Jiraiya this time would decide to come and stop wasting time. Just as he finished that thought, the window opened immediately. He didn't bother to check who it was. Door just was never an option, Hiruzen said as he heard his student laugh. Doors are just a waste of time, nothing else, Jiraiya stated before his face turned serious, and the temperature around the room decreased by a few degrees. What has Kumo done? Jiraiya asked, wanting more details about what has happened. Kakashi had sent him a brief recap, but he needed more information. Hiruzen sighed and told him everything, even Naruto's involvement in all of this. When Jiraiya heard the part that Naruto defeated a Jonin, he froze as he thought one single thing. He's just like you, Minato, Jiraiya thought with sadness, his student. Jiraiya, Raikage will arrive today. I need you to be prepared for everything, and if possible summon Chief Toad here, Hiruzen suggested, knowing they needed to show strength. Jiraiya had been deep in thought that he heard barely anything his sensei told him. Jiraiya's Sanin escaped his thoughts when he heard his sensei shout his name. What? Hiruzen said nothing but just sighed before turning his head towards the open window. Naruto is in apartment 7 near Nar compound if you want to visit him, Hiruzen suggested with a smile. Jiraiya remembered the blonde baby crying, his blue eyes. With a sigh he nodded his head and jumped outside the window. Jiraiya stood at the top of a building, using a camouflage jutsu, looking through Naruto's window. The blonde was drawing something in a paper, Jiraiya suspected must be something about Fuinjutsu. His back was turned at Jiraiya. The Sanin felt his heart almost stop at his blonde hair. He felt trapped. The vision of Minato was right in front of him. He felt shivers around his whole body, the vision of Minato still fresh in his mind. At that moment Naruto turned his head to look at the window. Jiraiya stiffened, almost thinking that Naruto had detected him, but saw his eyes weren't focused on him, instead of to a bluebird drinking water from a fountain. Jiraiya saw Minato all over again. His son was a mini version of him, almost uncanny. Jiraiya bit his lower lip tightly to move his body again. He didn't know why he felt he couldn't move. His eyes went to the window again, and saw Naruto had returned to drawing in the scroll. Jiraiya felt hot tears in his eyes. A tear slowly rolled down his cheek. With that, he disappeared from the view. Naruto, he felt Jiraiya had left. He closed his eyes tightly, so tightly that it was hurting. His eyes started burning like fire. His chest tightened. He tried to fill his lungs with air, but he couldn't. His chest kept tightening like a trap. His heartbeat slowly getting slower, his hand holding his chest, as he felt everything getting covered in darkness and despair. Naruto heard Kurama calling to him. His head hit the floor, his whole body lying on the floor, as hot tears were streaming down his cheek. Naruto had only one thought on his head as darkness greeted him like an old friend. If love is just a word, then why does it hurt so much when you understand that it isn't there? Killer Bee, his brother and Derry reached the Hidden Leaf Village. Beside them stood 25 members of the lightning team of Kumo. The team members were high jonin level up to lowest rank level. They had just reached the gate, and from there Bee saw the giant toad that was standing right beside Hokage Tower. He knew what that meant. Jiraiya of the Sannin was here, and he had summoned his toad, a clear indication of power. He couldn't help but wonder if Tsunade Senju was in the village as well. His brother's eye narrowed at the sight of the giant toad. Jiraiya wasn't a Sannin for nothing. Not mentioning he knew how to use Sage Chakra, something only he is known to be able to use. The last person who used Sage Chakra was Hashirama Senju himself. Soon they reached the Hokage Tower. The big toad was smoking from his pipe, but at the sight of him, his hand went to the handle of his sword. Walking inside the Hokage office, Bee had to give credit for their artwork. It looked beautiful. Inside the room stood the Hokage. Beside him was a man glaring at them with white eyes. A Hyuga, Bee thought. His eyes found Jiraiya of the Sannin standing near a window, his body leaning against the wall, his arms crossed. At the left side of the Hokage stood who could only be Kakashi Hatake. His Sharingan was covered, and close to Hokage was seated a man with a scar and pineapple hair. Baikid-sama, I hope your journey was good, the Hokage said respectfully, much to Bee's surprise. It was good. Now let's not waste time with this. I want to know why my shinobi was killed without any provocation, Bee spat angrily. The Hyuga narrowed his eyes, and Bee was sure he would attack. The old Kage didn't say anything or react to the accusations. The shinobi sneaked inside Hyuga compound during the night, and tried to kidnap Hinata Hyuga. The old Kage retorted still with a calm tone. Where's your proof? All I see here is accusations. You killed my shinobi, and I want whoever did this in front of me, or the only answer is war, Ace shouted, raising on his feet looking down at the old Kage. The Hyuga tried to stand up, but the Kage raised his hand. Bee only now noticed that the Sannin was standing behind them. When did he move? Bee asked himself as sweat rolled down his face. I have unmistakable proof, and the one who killed your shinobi is only a child, the Hokage stated, causing the Kumo team to freeze. While Bee was thinking, the children here are already strong enough to beat our jonins, and my brother wants to fight against grown-ass man. Good idea, brother. Impossible. Who did then? Bee screamed, looking at the Hokage. You can come inside. The door opened behind them and revealed a blonde kid with blue eyes that made Bee almost say Minato. His similarity to the fourth Hokage was like the difference between 2 drops of rain. But his Biju was thinking something else entirely. His focus was on the palm of the kid. The moon and sun symbols were unmistakable. Tusan. He's the one. Thanks for listening. I do hope you enjoyed. If you want the next part of this video, like, subscribe and comment down below, and turn on the bell notification. And also check out other videos that I have created and enjoy. See you in the next video. Peace.